Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Eric. I'm a strength coach, and today I'm going to be going over lever systems. So basically, lever systems are a way of describing to us the amount of torque that goes through a specific joint or angle based on the fulcrum, the fulcrum or lever, and the effort and the load that is placed upon us, or the system for that matter. So there are three types of levers. There's the first, second, and third class. The way I like to remember which lever that we're going to be using is the mnemonic PLE 1, 2, 3. So the way that you input this mnemonic into each system is whichever letter we are going over is going to be placed in the middle. So just cut right to the chase here. We have a first class lever. As we can see, the fulcrum is in the middle and the load and the effort arm are going to be placed on opposite sides of the fulcrum. What this means is our mechanical advantage, or the way of describing which however much torque is going to be exerted through the input and the output, we can see that the load and the effort are placed equidistant from each other based on the position of the fulcrum. So we can take those into account and we get a mechanical advantage of about 1, right? Because they're equidistant from the midpoint. So if we want to put this into the musculoskeletal system, we can, and a good example of a first class lever could be our head and neck muscle. So we have muscles that pull our neck into extension or posteriorly, and muscles that pull our neck anteriorly into flexion. So based on the fulcrum point, wherever you're going about this, we can see that the muscles both exert about a similar amount of torque, and that's going to lead us to about a mechanical advantage of about 1. If we go into the second class lever system, what we can see here is that the load is placed in the middle, the fulcrum is placed on one end, and then the effort is going to be placed all the way on the other side. This is actually our strongest class of levers because what we can see is that the load is placed more, or is placed closer, or I guess you could say more proximal to the fulcrum, and the effort is placed most distal from the fulcrum, leading to a greater mechanical advantage. So if we want to put this into another muscular example, what we can say is the calf raise. So if we look at the calf raise, our fulcrum positioning is right about the base of our toes. The load that's our body weight or whatever external load we're going to be using is going to be placed right through the tibia or front of our shin. And then the effort is going to be placed onto the calf that usually inserts onto the posterior aspect of our calcaneus or heel bone. So what you'll see is that our effort is going to be at a further distance from the fulcrum point there. So we're going to have a greater level of torque and force that we can exert based on the muscle positioning. So our mechanical advantage is going to be greater than 1. If we look into a third class lever here, we see that the effort is placed in the middle, the fulcrum is placed in, on one end, and the load is going to be placed all the way in the opposite end. So what does that mean? So it basically means that the load is going through a greater amount of torque and force than our effort. So this leads to a mechanical advantage of less than 1. So what is a good example of this? Let's take our bicep, for example. Our bicep inserts onto our forearm from our humerus, and it is inserted just anteriorly from our, onto our forearm. Our fulcrum position could be right around where our olecranon process is, anywhere where we hinge, right? So our elbow's a hinge. And then the load is going to be the dumbbell that's placed into our hand. So if you were to do a bicep curl, in my hand here is going to be the load, and then closer towards the middle, or closer towards the proximal part of my body is going to be where my bicep inserts, and then even closer to that is the fulcrum point. So you can see it's a lot harder, it would be a lot harder for me to lift the dumbbell because my bicep inserts so much closer to my body, so it's at a mechanical disadvantage. If I were to place a dumbbell closer in towards my body and have the insertion point of where my bicep goes way further beyond the effort, like in a calf raise, I would be able to exert much more force. However, since my bicep doesn't do that and it inserts much closer, I am able to produce less force. So just a quick overview of the lever systems. So remember the mnemonic PLE 1, 2, 3. Whichever letter is placed in the middle is going to dictate whichever lever class system we use. So the first class lever, fulcrum is in the middle, the load and the effort arm over here is going to be about equidistant from the fulcrum. So our mechanical advantage is about 1. And this is our head and neck. Our extensors and flexors have about the same level of torque there. So it's a mechanical advantage about 1. For our second class lever, we have the load placed in the middle, the fulcrum on one end, and then the effort placed all the way in the opposite end. Our mechanical advantage here is greater than 1 because we're able to exert more torque and force from the effort standpoint than the load is going to be exerting on us. A good example of this is going to be our calf. Calf muscle is able to produce more force than the load that's placed on the body or on the system being used there. And then last but not least, we have the third class lever, where the effort is placed in the middle, the fulcrum is on one side, and the load is placed on the opposite end. So here we are a mechanical disadvantage because the torque that's exerted by the load is much greater than the torque that's exerted by the effort. So like we were talking about before, bicep curl, our mechanical advantage is going to be less than 1. And yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this as much as I did making it. And here's King Strong. Thanks for watching.